Good evening and welcome. I don't know about you lot, it's bloody freezing, isn't it? It's bloody freezing. Good evening and welcome. Yeah, honestly, down here in sunny freaking Cornwall, it's absolutely bloody freezing. She won't let me put the fire on. She said we need the wood for when it really gets cold. Honestly, this is bloody ridiculous. I bet you lot are all sitting there with a fire on, ain't you? Graham Allison, Jeff Arroway, Frank Casey, Gary Marriott, Noel Murray, Steve Pace, Kevin Bolhill, not the tables, Carlos. Have you moved to Alaska? No. There's a reason I'm wearing this shit. It's freaking cold. It's freaking freezing in this house. I'm thinking of putting a grant in with the government. Good evening, Gary Marriott, Christopher, Ben Doolan.
Gary's not allowed on either.
I'm not allowed the fire on yet. No, I'll tell you what, they are horrible, are women to us at the moment. So what I wanted to talk about, go deep or go home. I know you think it's sexual. No, it's not. Anyway, flick on my little phone. And what I wanted to talk about is disappeared. So I can't talk about it. I actually wanted to show you what's going on at the moment. I'm getting message after message after message. I must have been on one of the bloody sites or something. I've just turned the heating down. Jeff, thanks very much for that. I must have been on something that everybody thinks I'm desperate for a new girlfriend, new wife. Anyway, I can't find it. So what it was about, it was Ukrainian women, Latvian women. Is it only me? Yeah. Spend some of your lots of your money on paying the bills. Charlie Tango 1. Ray, you've look, she's smiling, isn't she? Look, it's freezing. Look, see the little freezing thing there? Going back to what I was talking about, Ukrainian women know how to take care of their men. Is anybody else getting these feeds on Facebook non-stop? Latvian women also know how to take care of their men. They obviously turn the fucking heating on, I reckon. That's what I reckon. It's cold round our house. We have to sit round a candle when it gets really cold. Yeah, I've got one light on in here. It's freaking dark as hell, right? I'm loving it under here. I may look a prat, but I'm loving it under here. Have you signed up for the Russian army? No, I've signed up for these Latvian women, Ukrainian women, because it says they know how to take care of men. And then it says website for men over 40. Could some of you give me some insight into what the hell's going on here? They'd keep me warm, wouldn't they? A Latvian and a Ukrainian. Probably that's the reason Russia have invaded them, looking for these women who'll look after them. Perhaps in Russia, the women turn down the eating. Anyway, on that note, I think I've warmed up enough to take this shit off now. Or should I keep it on? Like I said, go deep or go home. It's a reflection of your search history if it's showing you Ukrainian women. I've never looked up cranes. Yeah, I may have looked up women, but Ukrainian? Perhaps they know it's freaking cold over here and they want to come over here. Have you dyed your hair again, says Ian Gordon. Yes, I keep getting those messages. Charlie Tango 1, you keep getting them as well. Thank God for that. But it says over 60. Oh, you are over 60, Charlie. You are. You're all right, aren't you? Oh, men over 40. Men over 40. No, one of them says men over 50. How do they find me? How do they find me? Because, let's be honest. Let's do a survey. Who has ever punched on their phone or their iPad or their computer for a bit of porn. Have you ever done that? Come on. No, not a prawn salad. Have you ever done that? Anyway, we're talking about dog training, aren't we? So should I get this off and start talking about dog training? Because Sue says, for God's sake, which direction are you going in tonight? Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it, Gary? You put dogging in there, dogging in or something like that, and then they think you're up to everything, don't they? Julian Lees, good evening, Daniel Boone Upton. Do you know what? I watched a program the other day, and he was wearing one of these like this, and I said to Sue, that's what I need in the Antarctic. Now I like this because it sits on the back of me leather sofa, so when it's cold, this just feels very comfortable. But I really think me with a spear in my hand, I'd look all right going across the ice packs looking for food. No, not in the last hour anyway. What does he know? He's rejected it. I don't know. Hang on. Anyway, bloody hell, it is cold out there. I think I'll put it back on. Susan, get me a drink. So, cherry juice. But I think, should I or should I not warm up the cockles? Anybody seen this before? Should I warm up the cockles? Anyway, Grizzly Upton of the Frontier. That's what I was thinking. Exactly what I was thinking. Somebody said I look more like a split mattress. Anyway, I'll send you a squirrel version. It'd have to be freaking a lot of squirrels to make me one of them, wouldn't it? You'd have to be trapping for 6 years to make me a squirrel coat. 6 years. Honestly, I just think to myself, I wonder if those Latvian women would find me attractive if I sent a photo to them looking like that. Eh? But I mean, I thought I'd read it out to Sue, but she just laughed. She didn't try and make an effort to switch the eating on. You know, she came home. I made her tea. Wasn't the other way around. She came home from work and made tea. No, she just sat there. And I said, "Can we have the fire on for half an hour?" Grizzly Adams, a love child. Anyway, what I'd like to talk about is dog training. I'd like to talk about dogs, the psychology. So let's go a little bit deeper or go home. So let's ask the question. How many people here work? If you work, just give me the times, the hours that you work. Is it 9 to 5, 7 to 4? Just give me a rough idea of what you do, the hours you do per day. If you could do that for me, right? If anyone could do that for me, that would be really good. Just give me an idea, because this is what I want to talk about. 7 till 4, says Ian, yeah. 12-hour nights, yeah, no problem. So you get the days free. That's not so bad then, is it? So the reason I ask you, what, Sue? He's still got to sleep. This is it, eh? Okay. 8 till 5, says Chris. Look at this, eh? Do you know what? Where are the hours of the day you can do things that you want to do, like train your dog, especially in these dark mornings, dark evenings? You get home. I don't know what about you lot, but this has been the worst weather I can remember. The last 2 months, it's been unbelievable weather here. It's been lashing it down. It's freezing cold out there now, as well as lashing it down, where it has been mild, but lashing it down. And at the end of the day, 12-hour shifts, look, 7 till 5. So the reason I asked that question is what I want to do is I want you to stop and think for a minute. Do you think your dog hates you because you've been to work? Or do you take your dog with you? I bet you're very lucky if you can take your dog with you to work and the dog can spend the time with you. So those dogs have got a long period of time in kennels or in the house. Some people put them in a cage. Some people let them out, let them roam free. But a lot of dogs have to have switch off time, don't they? And it's important that they learn to switch off. But what are they thinking all those hours when they're not with you? No, look forward to getting out. Canine philosophy. Evening, Christopher. There you go. Canine philosophy. I reckon I'm a psychic. So you see that then when I did that? See how my face changed colour? It went really, really yellow. Watch. How the hell can you do that? Watch. So I'm white because I'm cold. I touch my head and it goes orange, like you've been tangoed. Can you see it, Sue, or not? Oh, no, does it go orange? Jesus Christ, look. Imagine I farted. It'd be bright red. Canine psychology. I can't even say it. Look, I'm that freaking cold. My teeth are chattering. I bet you he's an ex-policeman. That's because I'm a sidekick. Or my sidekick sitting over there. What's it? Philology? Man, your dyslexia is getting worse. Stop it. Stop throwing big words at me. I think they think about working. I think they think about working. Mine seems to dream a lot after a day in the field. Yeah, they do. They definitely dream, don't they? They definitely dream. You get them in front of the fire, don't you, after you give them a hard day. I used to do that years and years ago and see them in front of the fire and they're kicking away there with their head. They're dreaming about it, aren't they? Dreaming about racing out, picking birds. Sue, give him more drink. Michael, stop it. That I'm going to go. Michael, have you ever drunk this crap in the forces? You must have been there. You must have been to Germany. You've been everywhere else, Michael. What's this like, Michael? Can I drink a pint of this? What do you reckon, Michael? Eh? Or do you reckon I'll blow another fuse? Anyway, Michael, I'm on the cherry juice, mate. Cherry juice. And I'm beginning to lose the will to live. I'm beginning to use the what is it? Can't read it. It's not my fault you can't read. I thought you said I was dyslexic. Schnapps. I can't read German. It's in German, Michael. You're gonna have to come and help me. But I know it's called Schnapps. Anyway, I'll have a little taste of it and just tell you what it tastes like. Oh, Jesus Christ. Whoo! That cleared some freaking cobwebs. No wonder in Russia and freaking Germany, where it's cold, they drink that stuff. That's evil stuff. Yeah. Wouldn't it be funny if I drank half a bottle and see how my mind thought? Don't line snaps.
Don't like snaps.
Michael, can you spell? Talking about me being freaking dyslexic. Don't line snaps. I thought you meant don't line it up and freaking drink one at a time. They normally serve that alongside a stein of beer. Graham Allison says it's antifreeze. It actually tasted like antifreeze. When I had the record shops, the second-hand records, we used to clean them with this. I can't even remember what it's called now, and it used to smell just the same as that stuff. Honestly, I bet that clears your insides out, doesn't it? That opens up your valves. You wouldn't need to have your timing checked. That stuff would give you a decoke, wouldn't it? Yeah. Anyway, going back to what I was talking about, that's why I asked you about your times. So if you think about it, 7 till 5, sort of Steve says he does, and Chris does 8 till 5, and 7:30 till 4, says Ian. You think about those dogs, the time period those dogs are on their own while you're working. And that's not your fault, but they have to live in your environment, don't they? They have to cope with that environment and live in that situation. But I wonder what those dogs actually do while you're not there. I wonder how many really pine for you, or they just don't measure time. They sleep half the time. Because I've actually put cameras down in the kennels before to watch what the dogs do, because fascinated to see what they do, whether they pine for me. Now, if I go out there and they hear me, then they jump up out their boxes and they're ready to go. If I go in there and take one dog out and go training with one dog, the other dogs don't sort of start barking and playing up. But I wonder how they actually think, because at the end of the day, us humans, we hold so much baggage, don't we? I've been watching a number of programs about people's past history of their childhood, their bringing up, their upbringing, and how it's affected their lives, and how they still live with all the trauma of mummy didn't breastfeed me, or mummy was working and she didn't have no time for me. I don't know, because don't forget, I used to own a business, a record business, and I used to go to work at like 9 o'clock and get there, open up at 10, and then sometimes don't get home till 7, 8 o'clock. But I still used to win competition with dogs. But those dogs, they got more drive, more desire once you've not done a lot with them during the day. I've seen so many people who come here with a dog that's out with them majority of the time, and the dog lacks that drive and that desire. And one video I actually put up for the group and asked the question about the dog, and I agree with you 100%. The dog's lacking that drive and that desire. Put the dog on game, and the dog becomes a different beast. It becomes more or less uncontrollable, and that's why the owner gave me the dog. That's where the training's got to come in. But if I can't suppress a dog that's already looks suppressed, and yet I've still got to set rules and boundaries. So if that dog doesn't listen to me, that dog needs rules and boundaries. And I think I said this to a few people in our private group on Patreon, but I'll say it on here as well. I put the e-collar on that dog and took it up on the moors with another dog, with Jeff. And Jeff can verify this. Jeff's on here. The level of the e-collar that we used on Jeff's dog is a lot higher than I used on the dog that I asked you about, the dog in the video. And at the point that I gave the dog the e-collar, it was after the point of I asked you, what do you think of the dog? And if anything, you could suppress the dog even more. Now, let's just say the working level on when the dog's under a lot of temptation on Jeff's dog, maybe 20, 25. With temptation, with no temptation, you could work it lower. But with that dog that everybody said, oh, it lacks drive, it lacks structure, it's not listening to you, it's pushing boundaries, they're dead right. But I wanted to show you the dog there, and then I want to show you the dog in a few months' time, once I've got into the mindset of the dog. Now, that dog is more too used to be living in the home environment and getting everything it wants. It's in a kennel. You think when it comes out of the kennel, because it's been banged up in the kennel for a while, you think it'd have lots of drive, lots of naughtiness, and need that bringing into control. Where really, yes, he's pushing boundaries to a certain extent, but he's not worked me out yet, so he doesn't know how far he can push me, and I'm stepping it up. So, for instance, that dog went down towards some water, and it was cold, it was windy, it was horrible up on the moor. I didn't want my dog box in the back of the car soaking wet with a dog in there. I had Wiz in there as well, and Jeff's dog in another side of the dog box. So I didn't want the dog in the water, but the dog went straight towards the water, and I said to the dog, no, come here. And the dog took no notice. I only had the e-collar on the dog to stop him going after sheep if he did go after sheep up on the moor, because there was lots of sheep up on the moor, so it was a insurance policy, really. So what I'm saying to you is, Jeff's dog has been getting, 30s, 35s, and the dog responds nicely to that. The dog doesn't hold baggage. The dog carries on hunting as hard as he does, but he's learning that he's got to behave himself when he gets that feeling of that negativity, because we talk about positives and negatives. Well, the dog that I was working went towards the water. I told him once verbally, no. I blew the stop whistle. He still carried on. I then zapped him. But I zapped him at 5. And he jumped, and you could see physically it affected him. He went straight away from that water and back to me, and was very obedient, because he had a correction at the point I told him. Now, I didn't want to tell a dog 3 times, don't do that, don't do that, don't that. But he's learnt to play people. And yet, look at the temperament of that dog. And yet, what does that dog think? It comes here from being in a home environment. It goes out in a kennel, and it's got to sit in the kennel and wait to go out training. Now, years ago, when I had the shop and I wasn't training full time, I was training part time as a professional trainer, and I was running competition. When I got home in the evenings, you can't take your dogs out in the pitch black. But I used to train on the industrial estates with the floodlights on if it was a nice evening. But when it was pouring down with rain or blowing like this, I don't remember them days, day in, day out, that the weather is just so atrocious. Now I'm seeing people sending videos from up country, and it's blue skies, sunshine, and it's colder up country. We know it's colder up country. Down here, it's wet, miserable, and cold now, where it's been wet, miserable, and very, very mild. So what I'm saying is, what do you think about your dog? What do you think your dog thinks when you can't take him out as much as you can? In the summer, you can get out a lot more with him, can't you? I don't think dogs hold baggage like humans hold baggage. I honestly don't think that dogs hold baggage in the same way. Now, yes, we need socialization, don't we? All of us. Because, not being funny, Sue's gone to work today, and up come them girls from Romania offering me a better life. It's got me thinking. I could get two of them for the price of Sue. Two. And if they really know how to look after men, I'd be in my element, wouldn't I? I could say to Sue, you can have a night off tonight, darling. I've got two little busy Lizzies who want to come into the bedroom. You can have a night off. And that creates jealousy, doesn't it? And then she might make more effort.
Back to dogs.
Back to dogs.
Canine, well, Michael, we used to kennel the military dogs about 5 p.m. Never seen us till 8 a.m. the following morning, and no issues.
Exactly, Michael. Exactly, Michael. Well said. And I think that's so important, isn't it? It doesn't mean that the dog is going to be mentally affected to the point it's not going to want to work with you, not going to want to be with you. It's absolute shite how people project that the dog is going to get emotionally triggered. Now, I do understand that you have to have socialization. You just can't lock a dog up, can you? But they get used to living in the environment. So thank you for saying that, Michael, because I want honesty. I want honesty.
You have a question.
So Steve says, we overthink shit and should just get on with living. Exactly. Exactly. But you've conditioned the dog to the e-collar. But you've conditioned the dog to e-collar. Don't
You're talking about earlier when you came back on 5.
Yeah, I've conditioned the dog, Gary, on the e-collar. Yeah, very low stim, but he jumped, and even at that very low stim, that is a sensitive dog. And we were talking about this in the group. You weren't there, Gary. I think you must have been working nights or something. On we were talking about it in Corleone Talk private in the group. At the end of the day, Jeff would be so much with harmony with the dog that everybody said wasn't showing enough drive, wasn't showing enough desire. Why? Because Jeff would be able to handle that dog when he went up the gears, as long as you've got the control into the dog and taught the dog that, okay, you were working in the field, you've taken over, and the owner can't handle that because you've taken over. But that's why I got the dog. That's why the dog's with me. The dog's been given to me, and I'm not going to let that dog go until that dog's right, and then it's going to go to a nice shooting home and have a wonderful life. But the dog has got to learn to switch off. And if the dog has had a home environment and he's been sitting in front of the fire and he's been pampered every 5 minutes and he gets food when, and I'm not saying he has, I'm saying I'm off. Good night, Canine psychology. Good night to you, sir. I thought I could smell something. Sue said, "Tell Sue, tell him I'm legging it as Annie's giving me a better offer." I tell you what, Michael, you've been away that long. I'd be like that. You've been down the smoke, haven't you, with your pals? I know. You can go. Off you go. I give you permission. So what I'm saying is, it's amazing how many people in today's society get so triggered about anything. Triggered to the point that I was abused because I didn't have enough titty milk as a child. I was abused because my dad didn't want to speak to me. He was too busy with making a living for us to survive. Have we not become a softer society, a more judgmental society? because of peer pressure, because of, and it works different for everybody, doesn't it? Because pressure, someone was talking about this the other day. They wrote in Facebook. They wrote about, I think it was Barry who wrote about it. He was saying he's not going to trial anymore because he gets so flustered, and he finds it very difficult. He finds it very difficult. When I was trialing, I got a buzz from that challenge. And some of us can cope better under pressure than others. And if I'm under pressure, I work better under pressure. I do my best work under pressure. And it's a bit like the singers, isn't it? Some of the singers, the songs that they've done when they've gone through hell. When I was listening to that Louis Theroux and Banksy.
No.
Not Banksy. It was Banksy, wasn't it?
No.
Who was it? Who was it again? The rapper, the English rapper. Stormzy, sorry. And he was saying that his father didn't have nothing to do with him as a kid, and his mother brought him up, and she did really well with very little. And obviously, he's got all that money now, and his father come back into his life, and he's turned to religion, so he's changed his attitude a little bit. But he said in his lyrics, his song, he tells his dad to fuck off. His dad's a taxi driver, and he asked for a new car. And you hold that baggage sometimes, don't you? You think your father didn't treat you well, and so you can live life and destroy yourself if you're not careful. And I think to the fact that I think everyone's got to live their life, and do you need to get so triggered on everything that happens in your life? And that's the reason I asked that question. Do dogs sit there and think, shit, he's been to work for 9 hours, where is he, the bastard? But when you come home, they show that approval. They want to be with you, don't they? If you've treated them right, they show that. Imagine the wife was like that every time. Imagine your wife was like that every time you walked in the door. It doesn't matter what mood you're in. That dog comes running up to the door and goes, hello, hello. The wife thinks, I wonder what mood he's in today. If you're that sort of person, if you're that sort of moody person, that 1 minute you walk in the door and you're a bastard and you slam doors and where's me tea. But if you come in the house and you're a friendly person every time, your wife's going to think, oh, husband's home, great. What do you think, Sue?
Yes, I agree with you, dear.
She's gone really quiet. Gary says, is go bonkers when I come in from work. Yeah, and that's the way they should be, isn't it? That's the way they should be. But they've got to learn to switch off as well. And I think today's society of people with dogs, and the majority of people you see having problems with dogs, is they give the dog everything, don't they? They give that dog everything. They give it more time than everybody else I know. They pamper the shit out of it. And the more you give it, the more they push. And that's exactly the same as me. The more I get, the more I want off Sue. She has to moderate me. She has to moderate me. And she don't be greedy. Don't be greedy.
I think it's a great big spanner, wouldn't it?
She need a big spanner.
Yeah, massive one, wouldn't it?
What,
Anyway,
why does she need a spanner? She's
moderate. Spanner, you moderate spanner.
Oh, you moderate me with a spanner. Oh,
You have a dog Christian as well.
Go on then. Where's the dog question? Honestly, you just can't find the staff. If I had one of those Latvian girls who said they can really know how to please the man, I wouldn't have this in the background, would I? Giving me grief. Come on.
And then you've missed the questions, which is what you.
Hi, Chris. I've been working on the blind retrieves. Is this the one you're on about? Michael Austin. I've been working on the blind retrieves in a long hedgerow. I have been doing it now at angles, and she's grand into the same corner. Out in the open, we're struggling to go back straight.
We did. Do I need to work more on memory retrieves?
No, you need to work more on scene retrieves to build up confidence, Malcolm. So if your dog is slightly flustered about not going straight back in a straight line, and we're struggling to go back in a straight line, and I totally understand what you're saying, you need to work on more scene retrieves, but from angles in the field. So you send the dog down to the corner, you're getting that now, you're using the hedge line, you're sending the dog down the hedge line. Then you start pushing the dog back on the blinds down the hedge line. That's what builds confidence, because you've been sending the dog to the same place all the time. That's where you work on your blinds. So when you want to get the dog to run back in a straight line and you're struggling to go back in a straight line and the dog's looking at you for reassurance or coming off that line, you need to do it with scenes. So sit the dog up, place the retrieve out there, send the dog down the line as your imaginary line. If the dog comes off the line, blow the stop whistle and push the dog back. That's the best way to do it. There is a number of videos out there that I show people how to do that. But to begin with, confidence builds confidence with dogs. And if the dog comes off the line, I blow the stop whistle. I go down to the dog and line that dog up on that line. But if you keep doing it to the same area, the dog will pick the confidence to do it because it's repetition. As soon as you take the dog to a new environment, new area, or somewhere else in the field and try and do it, the dog's going to go, what the hell are you on about? So you've got to do it with scenes first. So from the same position in the field, go and place it out in the corner, but send the dog across the field, let the dog seen it. And if the dog stops or technically goes off to the left or goes to the right, that's the point you blow the stop whistle. If the dog stops and looks back at you, you need to push the dog out with the command back or get out, whatever you use. And I find that works better. So, like I said, I asked that question about how often when you're at work and then you come home from work, and because of the dark nights and because of the winter evenings and the weather, that the dog's not getting half as much training as you can get in the summer. But that's not a bad thing I've found over the years. I've found that less is more. You can overtrain a dog and the dog will start to go flat on you. You bring the dog out the kennel that you haven't done anything with it for a few days and you've given it a mental break, that dog's going to come back stronger. And that's where I find so many people struggle. They put so much effort into the training, and I love that, but they can overdo it. You can overdo it. And that is the problem with the dog training. At the end of the day, there's not enough hours in the day to do the things you want to do, because at the end of the day, you've got to keep everybody happy. You've got to be a father if you've got children. You've got to look after the wife. You've got to do your chores, don't you? Like the dishes. You all do dishes, don't you? Could you let's have a bit of a survey here then, because I don't think any of these Latvian women or any of these Ukrainian women do that. I don't think they let their men do dishes. But okay, Keith Erland says, I had a very, very fascinating career working as a gamekeeper, pro gun dog trainer, journalist. He bought an indigenous British cuisine in the 1970s, pioneering what? Oh God, okay, come on. Julian Lees is a freaking taskmaster. Come on, answer that question, everybody. Come on, everybody. Come on. Can you answer that question for Julian? He's honestly, I'm going to start calling him Bamba Gascoigne.
Larry's in the house and Gary's also got a question.
So Paul Jarvis does the dishes. Frank Casey does the dishes. 100% downtime is vital for progression. Yeah, you're dead right, Larry. You're dead right. No, Graham Allison doesn't do dishes. Well done, Graham. Well done. Well done. Get myself in trouble sometimes, Gary Marriott. I tell you, you modern men, no wonder your wives let you go out and you're not looking for a Ukrainian. But that's probably why Russia have actually raided Ukraine. Shut up, Chris. Just shut up. Honestly, have you seen them on the internet? Have you seen how they're throwing themselves at you? And they're all less than 30. Honestly, it must be because I'm losing weight. It must be because I'm losing weight. They must know. They must think he's sitting there depressed. We need to cheer him up. I look forward to when Sue comes in. I'm like that dog wagging its freaking tail when Sue walks in the door. I think I got some company. There you go, Steve. That's what I like. I got a dishwasher. It's called the wife. Do you know what? If you can say that and she doesn't get offended, you got a good one. If you've got to do the dishes to appease the wife, I'm sorry. If anybody wants this number for these Ukrainians, Czechoslovakians, what does Karen say, Sue? He's lost me.
I was just looking. Oh, venison.
Oh, thank God. I thought you were on the wacky backy there, Karen, for a second. Lisa's doing the dishes now, though, while I'm listening to this. That's the way, Gary. That's the way. And you appreciate her for it, don't you? Oh, Karen's on. Karen's about Keith. I was leaving that. I was leaving that for somebody to answer, and then I'm half reading it and thinking, I was for smoking. It was for smoking venison and grouse. Yes, yes. It says I'd was for smoking, and it says sincere. Honestly, I'm having some more of this shit. I'm having some more of this. I'm having a bit more of this because it's beginning to warm me up. It's beginning to. I want Larry to come out and have one of these sessions with me with this stuff. Schnapps, Larry. Ever had schnapps? Ever been to Germany, Larry, and had schnapps? Yeah, but I bet he drinks the whole bottle. Honestly, he's an animal. Who saw Larry's video? Is Larry still there? Is Larry still listening, or has he left the auditorium? He's not. Who saw Larry's video with his brother in the car and Larry farted and did the window up? And it was evil. I was cracking up laughing. It's definitely a brother thing, isn't it? It's definitely a brother thing, isn't it? If you'd done that and you had a customer in the car, you'd be embarrassed, wouldn't you? You'd let all the windows down and go. But Larry, it was so funny, wasn't it? It was so funny. He tortured him. Yeah, he did, didn't he? Bloody tortured his brother. Did the window up. Yeah, I was cracking up, Larry. That was so funny. My favourite was Larry's was a football throw into the. Yeah, it was really good, that, wasn't it? Anyway, so what's happening over in America with Larry and Trump? Trump seems to be struggling at the moment, but at least he's going to have a go, isn't he? He's having a crack at it, isn't he? He doesn't know when to give in, does he? But they reckon Biden's on a high. Don't know why. I don't know why. Anyway, so going back to that time out, I actually think it does dogs good to have time out, but not as much time out as some of the dogs I've got here that they've had, because it's just not fair on them. And that's because of my illness and not being able to get out with them at the moment. And it's driving me mad. So, yes, I'm the one struggling with the mental illness, as in, I got to get out. Oh, the weather's shit. Oh, my knee's knackered. And at the end of the day, I think we hold baggage as humans far more than the dogs hold baggage. And I think that animals in general don't hold the same baggage that we think they do. It's all emotional, isn't it? It's emotional. How we each handle ourselves and our lives, isn't it? Not everyone's had a wonderful, easygoing life, have they? But do you hold that against your lifestyle, or do you make the best out of life what you can? And I'm a strong believer that I try and make the best out of what you got. And I don't think that I covet many other people or things they've got. I'm lucky in that way, that I think I've made a reasonable life for myself. But at the moment, I'm on a bit of a downer until I get this sorted out with the hospitals. But the state of the hospitals is unbelievable. And the state of the hospitals is depressing. And then you've got the nurses wanting 30% more, and you've got everybody in a situation. The prices of food in this country, I mean, honestly, if people like Larry knew what we're paying for fuel, they'd fall out the tree. I mean, the price and fuel's gone up silly in America compared to what it used to be when I went out there 25 years ago. It was dirt cheap. It was embarrassment. So everything's gone up, but for us in this country, and how many people are saying, oh, I've either got to keep the eating off or I can't afford to eat. It's a sad state of affair, isn't it? When you've got people can't afford the basics, can't afford the very basics. You'd have to afford it over the ice eat, yeah. The thing is, hunter-gatherer. He didn't see me earlier, Larry, did he? Dressed up like Buffalo Bill. He didn't see me, did he, with the old gear on to keep myself warm? I mean, that Schnapps has actually warmed me up, thank Christ. I've been sitting there thinking, how am I going to sit on a computer for 60 minutes, freezing cold in the corner, because her indoors won't let me put the heating on. But it's funny, isn't it? Because you go out and have a meal and spend 60, 70, 80, 90 quid, and yet you think, oh, I won't put the heating on. It's going to cost me £5 tonight.
Get your priorities right.
Larry says he's in a tree right now and it's freezing. Jesus Christ, Larry. It must be daytime, surely. You're not sitting up a tree at night. What time is it, Larry? Too many people, really companies out there wanting more and their fair share. I agree. Nigel, look at I'm getting better. Schnapps. 3 p.m. Oh, that's not so bad then, is it? Honestly. So I'm doing the Schnapps in a sensible way. I'm just taking a cupful, but I've had 10 of them up to now. No, I had some before. And I'm going to see what happens with my brain once I've had half a bowl on live feed. But look at me nose. It's like Rudolph now. It's gone red because of the tablets they put me on for lowering your for thinning out your blood. My nose went blue. It looked like I was a pisshead. It looked blue. I thought, there's no way am I going to be freaking classed as Rudolph in the school play this year. It was blue. And I'm thinking, it looked like a pisshead's nose. But look at it now. It's a beautiful colour. And when I press it, watch it go red. Look. Oh, no, it went yellow. See? Larry, I get in the dark and leave in the dark 12 hours a day. You don't work, Larry. You're on freaking holiday now. You used to work. Honestly, you're retired. Honestly, you enforcement people and police, they all retire at 50, don't they? Hey, Larry, how old are you by any chance? Go on, tell us. Tell us, Larry. How old are you? Not much action, Larry, with the deer. There is going. I'm just waiting on a specific deer. Is it called Rudolph? Careful, you were turned into a Smurf. Stop it, Graham. 50. Larry's 50. You wait till you're 61, sitting up a freaking tree in the freezing cold. Good luck with bagging the one you're after. Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? It's nice if you can sit in that tree and watch them go past and not shoot everything that moves. I think that's the same thing as I think as you get older, I think you're looking for that special one, aren't you? You're looking for that special one. It's not all about numbers, is it? It's about same as pheasant shooting. It's not all about numbers. It's about the enjoyment of working that dog. Yes, it's Larry. It's getting harder. Larry, 50, I got depressed. I thought, shit, I'm 50. 60, I got really depressed. I'm not looking forward to 70 at this rate, Larry. The problem is, I thoroughly enjoyed my life, Larry. And if I went tomorrow, I've got to say, I've had a good one. I've had a good run. But now I've become ill. I'm thinking, I wonder if I cut back a little bit, I could get another 10 years out of this. And Sue's going, oh, not another freaking 10 years. Larry bow hunting. Don't talk to Jules about bow hunting. Honestly, he's a squirrel man. So anyway, where were we? So yeah, like I was saying, I think it's really important the dog takes time out. And I see so many dogs, and I used to have a friend. I used to have a friend who was a good dog man, but he was never working. He had an accident in the army. They retired him. He did his knee in, and he retired him very early. And he was always out every day with the dogs. And he used to go through 10 or 12 dogs a year without fail. And then at some point go, the dog's stupid. The dog's useless. Get rid of it. and sell it for peanuts. Not sell it for the value of the dog, but sell it for peanuts because he wanted to move on to the next one. He was only interested in winning competition. So he was looking for that ultimate competition dog. And if it wasn't competition, he wasn't really interested in it. But my appraisal of what he was doing, he was stifling them by putting too much into them. He had some cracking lines, bought quality lines from quality top dog people, champion to champion all over the place. And he could trade a dog, but he put so much into it, he'd stifle 3/4 of them and they'd cook themselves. And I used to buy those dogs off him at probably £1,000 a piece. Going back 20 years, I used to buy those dogs off him at probably £1,000, £1,500 a piece once he'd put a whole year and a half's work into them. And he could train a dog, but what he'd done, he'd stifled them. And then they become confused, right? And then they switch off. And by putting the pressure on him, he put the pressure on them. He didn't give them time to develop. I used to put those dogs in the kennel, let them have a month's mental break, then take them out, and they were completely different dogs. I used to sell those dogs for £3,000 to £4,000, £5,000 all day long to America, all day long. Why? Because they want driven dogs. But what he'd done, he'd stifled them, and he wasn't seeing the bigger picture. And I told him, but he still couldn't change his ways. And to this day, he's still the same. You will see him, and he's got another dog called Mickey. And every time you see him, he's got another dog, and it's called Mickey. And I'm not mentioning his name. I have mentioned his name before, but it's not to have a go at the chap. He could train a dog to a good standard. But what he used to do is put too much into him, and the dog didn't have that drive, and that just sounds like Lolly. Shut up, Lolly. I'm Lolly because my record shop used to be called Lollipop Records. My boy Lollipop, pop, 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 pop. Anyway,
Gary says, "Do you think you can do?"
I think that was kicking in then. Me singing "My Boy Lollipop." So, shall we give a squirrel skin away for who could tell me who sang "My Boy Lollipop" within 30 seconds? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, what do you mean? It's up. Your time's up, Sue. Have you seen videos of him on Patreon? Have we seen videos of him on Patreon? Yes, Gary, you have. You have seen videos of him on Patreon. And like I say, good dog trainer, but can't get around the fact that some dogs need that mental break and then they come back stronger and better. As simple as that. And each dog's different, but so are humans. Some humans can take lots of pressure and thrive under pressure. I seem to thrive under pressure. And I think that I've not mentioned his name on here, but the person who put a feed up saying that he's packing up trialing because it doesn't seem to suit him. It doesn't seem to suit what he's doing. He's not a bad little trainer. He's not a bad little trainer. But once you get in line, some people, the nerves kick in. But then I've seen that at football. You know, back in the 70s at football, the police used to like fighting as much as the football hooligans. And some police couldn't wait to get in there in that police wagon with their truncheon and their helmets on and the riot squad race down the streets and have a scrap with the football hooligans. And coming from a town, Derby County, right in the centre of the rough area of Derby was the baseball ground. And anybody who's ever into football will know the baseball ground used to be notorious. All the way around the baseball ground, everyone used to board up their windows because people used to just, in crowds, they become different people. In crowds, they become brave when they're with a group of people. But some people can stand there on their own and look after themselves, and other people need a backing of a group of 30 blokes screaming their heads off and chanting. Then they feel brave. And so we all handle different situations differently, don't we? And it's the same as the dogs. I find that some dogs can be quite bolshy with other dogs, but really they're not the hard dogs. They're the ones trying to prove themselves. And I think there's the same scenario that some people fold under pressure and some people thrive under pressure. And I think the dogs are very similar. Some dogs, the more pressure you put them under And I've seen this with discipline. The more discipline you give some of them, the harder they want to please. Now, you say that out there in the big wide world like I just did, someone will take that and freaking rip their ass out of you and say, he just said, the more discipline you give, the more they come back for more and they try harder. That's the same as women. That's the same as blokes. The more the wife nags you sometimes, the harder you try. The more the wife nags, the more the husband bends over and gives her what he wants. Now, I shouldn't say it that way, should I? I don't mean bend over. I mean, they go to the point that they think, I've got to please the wife. And sometimes the wife then works out she knows how to win you over because of emotions, and you just want an easy life. I'm the only one out there talking about this shit. And yet I could have got myself in trouble with so many different people today, couldn't I? You don't get that with the rugby supporters. You don't, do you? A different temperament, isn't it? You different temperament altogether. And when we used to play rugby, we used to go in so hard. The first tackle you make I used to be a winger, and the first tackle you make sends a message to the other guy, don't mess with me. And you knew the first tackle was the big one because you sent the message straight to that person and you watched them fold. Some didn't, they come back stronger, and some folded and didn't want to tackle you for the rest of the day. And I found that afterwards, you could shake hands and go for a drink. And that's amazing, isn't it? And that's what we talk about, psychology. And I think the psychology is really, really important to go deeper sometimes. And that's why I said, go deep or go home, because anybody can put up a dog doing a few basic disciplines and look at my dog. It looks wonderful. But have you suppressed that dog? Have you overtrained the dog? There's that fine line, isn't there? Gary says the rugby, it's because the violence is on the pitch. Yeah, but I used to be in Sunday League football as well as a youngster, Gary, and it's amazing when you're playing Sunday League football and you just left school or you're just still at school, 16, and you've got blokes stomping on you on a 16-year-old. You know, there's some funny people out there. I've never felt like that on football ground, but on the rugby ground, I did get a buzz. I did get a buzz from the physical. I did. I'm more of a physical person in the early days. I thrived on sport. I did love sport. I absolutely adored sport. The rougher it was, the better. And yet, I played county badminton. But then again, there's only one reason I played county badminton. Have you ever played doubles? And the men play at the back and the woman plays at the front. And when she bends over, she's got those frilly pants on like you used to stick on your 1-year-old child. Honestly. They got short skirts and they bend over because they're supposed to be lower the net so you can smash it. And they're supposed to be controlling the net. And all you can see is a pair of frilly knickers and an arse waggling at you. I think it's wonderful. And people say I'm sexist.
You love you don't play it now, you'd be a perv.
I'd be a perv now, she said in the background if I was playing it. I bet none of you had that fun, have you? I used to only go play badminton for that reason. I used to hate men's doubles. There's like two sweaty men on the court. But when you played mixed, the woman always watched the net and the powerful man was at the back doing the smashing. Paul Jarvis, tennis doubles. Look at him, he's got cool glasses on. I'm having another one of these because I'm beginning to realize what this stuff is. It makes you flow better. Oh, I tell you what, did you see that? Did you see that? Come on, there's a question here. Julian Lees, there's a question here. Julian, will you give a squirrel skin away if someone gets this question right tonight? I haven't got any left. Julian, if I ask a question and they get it right, will you send them a squirrel skin? Go on, Jules. Go on, say yes. Go on, Jules. You're going to love this question. This is gonna have you all on the edge of your seat. But actually, I think Arthur, you might know it if you watch a certain program on TV, because I didn't know it. Come on. No. Not what's the question. We're waiting for Jules. But I think Jules is reading this. Yes, here we go. How much semen does a pig let go when he's mating.
How long have they got?
They've got 2 minutes.
Oh my God, they'll be Googling it.
They'll be Googling it. No, but there was a program on that a lot of you should have been watching, or a lot of you probably do watch. How much semen does a pig let go? Load, says Paul Jarvis.
Pints of Graham Allison.
Half a litre? Honestly, this girl's on here getting jealous as hell. Half a litre. Imagine that half a litre would do to the bedroom. You'd have to change your sheets. You have to put rubber sheets down, wouldn't you? Come on, I think it was a very important question. I was shocked. I was shocked. They reckon if you drink coconut juice, it creates more semen. Sue, can you get the coconut juice from the fridge? I've never asked it. What, the pig? Jules, stop it. Jules is the only person I know who can make a pig squeak. Oink, oink. Half a litre in a waterbed. So do you know the answer, Sue?
Can't remember.
Well, I'm sorry, but you've all got it wrong. So unfortunately, it was half a pint. And I was absolutely amazed at half a pint. Weren't you, Sue?
Yeah.
Half a pint. Imagine that.
And I see if Gary is
No, if it said, yeah, Graham said a pint. If only you said half a pint, you imagine how many piglets are in there, eh?
You were, Gary, but you put litre as well.
Yeah, you should have put half a litre. You should have said half a pint. Gary Merritt says I was close. No, you were miles out.
Graham said a pint, and he said mine came twice.
If you think about it, though, you wouldn't have to use any lubricant, would you? Anyway, I think on that note, I think I should stay off the Schnapps. Now, the only reason I mentioned it was on Country File. I don't know if any of you watched Country File. They were actually on there, and I was quite shocked when I heard what. I jumped straight out of my seat and felt really inadequate.
Get the coconut juice.
That's it. I said, get the coconut juice, coconut water. Anyway, on that note, I just don't know what we're going to talk about anymore. I mean, what a way to end the show, isn't it? How much semen? Paul Jarvis, I don't think he's got anything better to do in life, has he? A pig's willy is corkscrew shaped. Yeah, I don't blame you, Larry. I would fuck off if I was you talking about pig semen. Up that tree, you're going to get excited, aren't you, Larry? Nice chatting, Larry. Catch you later. He's on a stag night. No, he's deer hunting. You've seen the Deer Hunter, haven't you? What a film that was. He's getting horny. He's getting horny. Anyway, he'll be up that tree going. Stop it! I'm having another one of these before we go. Anyway, this is gets better as you drink. The more you drink, it gets better. So, any questions before we go? You've got 1 minute, 1.5 minutes. 1.5 minutes. Any question before we go? I've just talked a load of rubbish again tonight, and I sometimes think to myself, why the hell do we have the Wednesday nights? I really do. And I think, isn't it funny? We get like 400, 500, 600 views on the Wednesday nights. People have got nothing better to do, have they, than listen to this idiot? But for some reason, they seem to like it. Don't know why. Perhaps it's... Hang on. I reckon Larry's gone because he's watching Get Me Out of the Jungle. Hey? Have you seen what they eat on that? Jesus Christ. Anyway, on that note, 59 minutes. You all leaving?
Paul says, how's Jeff getting on with his dog now?
Who said this?
Paul Jarvis, how's Jeff getting on with his dog now?
I haven't seen him. It's been raining all week. Absolutely pouring it down with rain all week.
And we're still on a hosepipe ban.
And we're still on a hosepipe ban over in sunny Cornwall. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. And it's getting colder. So if Sue doesn't let me put the fire on, I'm going back to drinking. Because honestly, I've warmed up. Look at my little nose now. Honestly, I look so much better than when it's bloody blue with cold. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Chris Upton signing off. I asked a question, do you give hand signals? Oh, I thought you meant a hand job then. Stop it. Do you give hand signal as well as pushing the dog out with a verbal if the dog looks at you? Yes, I do, Gary. Yeah. Push the dog back with a hand signal as well. Yeah. So on that note, thanks for joining in and hope you enjoyed it. I'll catch you all later. Bollocks you all. Thanks for tuning in. Good evening, Peter Piper. Did we see you earlier? He just sits back so quietly, doesn't he? Isn't it funny? We've just been talking about bollocks, haven't we? We finished on bollocks. Good night, all. Chris Upton and Susan signing off. Good night, all.